Hello and welcome. Wanted to go over our my Energy Blade Inquisitor, who's doing a cast on crit with Firestorm. You can also do Purifying Flame and a whole other series of spells we'll kind of cover in a later video. So what you're seeing here is trying to push Energy Blade as high as we can by having as much uh, energy shield to absorb. As you can see right now, we're level 71, just kind of getting into some of our gear. Pretty still just basic unique stuff. And we've already got 7,500 plus energy shield, which translates into an energy blade with 1,700 base damage, which we then convert with battlemage into our spell damage. And then with this league, we also got Spellblade support, which does the same thing. Actually does even a little bit more effective than even Battle Mage. So those are going to be our key pieces, and then we're just doing Cyclone, Cast on Crit, Firestorm, choosing Firestorm for its high kind of AoE overlapping hit, which you'll kind of see here in a second. Increase crit strike supports to keep our crit chance up for now. As we build our strength up, which we're on our way, we're at 796 or so, then the Righteous Providence will kind of fill in that gap for us, and then we can start backing out some of the crit chance and just focus on damage. And then we also take crit damage because we actually have a pretty decent amount of crit chance for our spells. So we want to make sure that our spell is going to crit as much as we can. So in general, the process is to cast and crit Cyclone with a spell that has tons of base damage from the Energy Blade. As you can see, we're only level 71. We've only done normal and cruel lab. We haven't done any of the others. And we're going to do a little bit of a mapping showcase real quick here. So we're going to be running some T13 Promenade. And as you can see, these are kind of out and go. There's really not too many mods we can't run. The main, of course, is Elemental Reflect. Technically can do Physical Reflect, but it's a little rough at the moment because I'm not fully set up. As again, because we're only 71. But outside of those two main ones, we're pretty good where we're at. So let's run through a map real quick here. Give you an idea what the build looks like. Important piece of this build is our flask, but I will go into detail of all that in just a second. So as you can see, we're level 71, and the content is pretty just roll right over top of it. Don't even have our gems fully leveled. Now we do have Vile Firestorm. The Firestorm, however, has one big problem for us, and that is it doesn't focus fire, and it stops our channeling or our cycloning. So when we get to a pack here, I'll kind of show you the challenge. See how we come to a full stop just to pick up a few extra hits. And now they're strong hits. I usually only use it when there's some temp bubble or really kind of strong yellow rare mob. And since we have Stampede, you can basically just hold your Cyclone button down and go through the entire map. Is it the fastest thing possible? No. But is it super tanky, cheap, reliable, good damage, new player friendly? Very much so. And should be coming up on the bosses. Single target's not great right now, but we have a lot of work to go. We've still got 25 some levels to add to this. And that's not bad. Handles large packs really well. And it's got a bit of screen clutter. But you can use Purifying Flame if the Firestorm is a bit much. And we died to bleed because I haven't set up my bleed control yet. But as you can see there, pretty straightforward on a map that's blinds as well, which kind of hurt, and then 24% suppress. So let's run one more real quick. Go ahead and run this one. So good point here. We'll go through our auras. So we have Purity of Elements, which is giving us our resists and immunity to elements. Discipline for the ES, Energy Shield, Energy Blade, Precision. We have Clarity, which we're using for our Watcher's Eye. We have Determination and Vitality. We can also fit in the Defiance banner. And once we get our levels, we'll be able to squeeze in Wrath as well. So we basically become our own aura bot. And then we're going to keep pushing those auras on the tree to do more effectiveness. And our bleed mitigation is basically getting our vitality to level 20. That way we're able to basically just out regen bleeds. We also use Frostblink to speed up our movement through the map, as it doesn't prevent our, since it's an instant cast, Cyclone is not interrupted. So, as you can see, very smooth, easy to do mapping, and probably pushing it a little hard, being only level 71. Alright, so let's go into some of the details of the build and the tree itself. So as we mentioned earlier, we're going into Instruments of Virtue for the battlemage, Righteous Providence for the crit and the stat stacking. We'll finish out with Inevitable Judgment for the resist on monsters. And then we'll close out with Augury of Penitence, just for more damage and protection. For the tree, we're trying to basically stack Strength, Int, Block. We take Glancing Blows, Life, series of defenses. We're currently in the process of working and building out our aura effectiveness and reservation. So we'll take all these, plus for mastery we'll take the life reservation effective. We're taking the stat wheel for increased attributes and strengths. And then here's probably the most important thing to make the build function. So we're taking Trader. To get Trader, you need to come into Brutal Restraint Jewel of the Baba Laba. And what this does is we get 4 flash charges for every open slot every 5 seconds. So we're gaining 8 charges on our flask every 5 seconds because we have these 2 spaces open. And that allows us to basically keep our flask always running. Now the nice thing with this is we get the flat fire, lightning, and cold resistances plus reduced or less damage taken off of all 3. And then this prevents chaos damage from killing us, because the chaos damage cannot bypass our energy shield during our while the flask is running. So that is why we're able to reserve both our life and our mana, which is how we're able to run so many auras. We also then just look for increased damage. Some ideally you'd pick up some either evasion, additional armor, things like that. We also take Divine Shield just to give us a little bit of extra regeneration on our energy shield. We take our Sovereignty, and then we'll fill this wheel in Zealot's Oath. That way our life regeneration is our energy shield, which is why our Vitality, once it levels up, will help us, because then we'll be able to out-regen our life. We pay across the top, pick up the stats out of the Utmost Intellect, and grab additional 5 per mastery nodes, which will end up picking up quite a few through the whole process once we finish out leveling, because we take the life here, we take the shield mastery, we're taking both the masteries for the stats, taking the reservation mastery down here. So as you can see, there's 4 or 5. So we also need to go ahead and do our Pain Attunement. So that gives us more damage. Then for our Cluster Will, we're taking Feel the Fight, Smite the Weak, Veteran Defender. And there's a few other combos that you can do. You don't have to have Smite the Weak. There's 2 others that will slot into here. But Feel the Fight's what's going to give us our Mana Leech, which is what we're going to need to sustain our Fireballs or Firestorm. Veteran Defender is just attributes, a lot of elemental resist, and then defenses from our equipped shield, which again is going to give us another significant amount of energy shield since we're running an Aegis, and we are stacking armor. So we're only at 13,000, 14,000 currently, but our determination is, let's see, where's it at? There, it's only level 15. So as you can see, there's still open gem slots that we'll be filling in. We still need to do 2 labs and a lot to go. Just wanted to kind of give a quick demo of the build, quick overview, how it kind of operates, and kind of show the potential. When it gets fully built out, it becomes very strong. We'll be pushing this energy blade into about 3,000 base damage, 4,000 base damage, depending on what kind of gear and rolls we're getting. So, but there's the overview. As you can see here on the flask, I started them a little bit ago. They are refilling faster than they're consuming. They'll eventually run out, but it takes about 5 or 6 flask cycles. And the only time that's a problem is if you have a really long boss fight, and without any other kind of regeneration. And they usually recover, as you can see, right back. The most important one though is our coruscating elixir. It will pretty much never run out because it has a long enough duration. Uh, these need to be better rolled. So as you can see, this one does not have increased duration, and this one does. And this one with like 30% or better increased duration will not run out. So, gotta fix this flask. Our elemental resists are easily to achieve once we turn our flask on. As you can see, we're at 130, 120, 150. Because of Aegis, we have 80% on cold resist. We're immune to everything. And our attack block is just barely overcapped. We'll get the spell block up a little later with a few other nodes and options that we have. So just a quick overview, and I'll post a kind of a video in the end, along with the. I'm including a POE for the build and leveling into this. And basically, as I was going along, just piecing the build together. I took snapshots at the end of every act and kind of guide you on which way to build a tree. Nice thing with this build is you don't really have a lot of rework. You just grab a few different nodes depending on how you're leveling. You can level it Hollow Palm, which is how I did. You can level it Armageddon Brand, but you're going to have a lot more respec. And there's a few other options. Pretty much any way that you hire or level Templar work really well with this build. As always, have a great day.